Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So the Supreme Court issued a really horrible ruling today, one of the horrible rulings they issued today, but this one is related to the Capitol attack. So it was such an absurd ruling that even Judge Amy Coney-Barrett slammed the majority, including her fellow conservative justices. Justice Barrett wrote in her dissent, or at least in part of it, quote, Section 1512C2 is a very broad provision, and admittedly, events like January 6th were not its target. Who could blame Congress for that failure of imagination? But statutes often go further than the problem that inspired them, and under the rules of statutory interpretation, we stick to the text anyway. The court abandoning that approach does textual backflips to find some way, any way, to narrow the reach of subsection C2. I respectfully dissent. So here's how this all went down, why it went down, why Judge Barrett is 100% correct. January 6th defendant Joseph Fisher, he filed a lawsuit a while back. He challenged or is challenging the felony charge against him for obstructing an official proceeding. Now, if you guys follow my January 6 coverage, you know that charge has been used against hundreds of January 6 defendants. It's primarily used where the defendant showed intent, like they had an intent to prevent the certification of the 2020 election. So if, for example, they sent a text or they sent, or they posted social media messages, and this was in advance of the Capitol attack, and they said that they wanted to stop Biden from becoming president. Now, that alone wouldn't suffice. That wouldn't be enough to bring the charge, just posting, right? You're just talking. But if that same person took action on January 6th, if they tried to make it happen, by entering the Capitol or something like that, those are the people who were charged with this obstruction of an official proceeding claim or charge. And you might recall this law has been scrutinized by lower courts and also January 6 judges. There has to date been only one judge, one U.S. district judge who determined, oh no, you can't apply this law to January 6 defendants unless they did something, they, committed the crime and it involved a physical document. So because this law was put into place after the whole Enron scandal and them, shredding documents and all kinds of stuff. Just so everyone understands, though, exactly what we're talking about here, this law, as it's written, is what you're seeing here on your screen right now. This is the subsection of 18 U.S. Code 1512. The January 6 defendants have been charged under this subsection C2. For those listening on the podcast, here's what it states on Cornell Law School's website. This is verbatim. This is a verbatim reading of this law, of this subsection of the law. It says, whoever corruptly, 1, alters, mutilates, or conceals a record, document, or other object, or attempts to do so with the intent to impair the object's integrity or availability for use in an official proceeding, or 2, otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding, or attempts to do so, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. So the key word in all of this is or. Obviously, the first part applies to physical documents, but when it states or otherwise obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so, clearly the law was meant to apply to cases where there is no physical document involved. If the authors of this law meant that, the criteria in both sections 1 and 2 had to apply in order for this charge to be brought, first of all, it wouldn't be separated. It wouldn't be two sections, right? It would just be one long paragraph. And two, the author wouldn't have used the word or. It would have said and. What really blows my mind about all this is the fact that Ketanji Brown Jackson, a liberal justice, sided with the conservative male justices. Now, it would have been the same outcome, even if she didn't vote with them. But number one, I don't know what the hell she was thinking. But two, what pisses me off about this is she lent credence to this conspiracy, this whole conspiracy theory that the feds have been heavy-handed with these January 6 defendants. Nothing could be further from the truth. So, this affects about 350 cases. And the Supreme Court's decision now kicks these cases back down to the lower courts again. So the lower courts have to come in, they have to determine which of these defendants committed a crime on January 6th that actually involved a document. So for instance, for the few people who went into the Senate chamber and stole a document, right? If they took a document off of or from inside of a senator's desk. Again, very few who that applies to. I don't even think this would cover the defendants who took photos of the documents that were on and in the senator's desk, which clearly should be a crime. So in any case, Donald Trump is celebrating this boneheaded decision. He obviously thinks, oh, this is going to apply to me because remember, he is charged with the same crime in the coup case in DC. I don't believe it will apply to him. And here's the reason why. Trump's alleged crimes do involve physical documents, namely the fake elector documents. Now, was he directly involved? I mean, we all know that he was directing everything, but they have to be able to prove it. They have to be able to prove that he was directing people to sign these fake documents, to get them turned in, to get them to Mike Pence and get them into the chamber that day. So it's not a given that Jack Smith will run with that charge still. And unfortunately, that's one of the heaviest charges. Again, it comes with a 20-year maximum sentence. So we'll see what happens. As of right now, with what happened last night, with the debate, with what's going on with the Supreme Court, I'm in a bad place, guys. I feel like our country is in a death spiral. I feel like there are too many people who have either checked out or they're just not taking all of this seriously. They really are not understanding the threat that Donald Trump and his circle poses to this country. I fear we are going to wake up 1 year from now, 2 years from now, and this is not going to be the same country. It's just not. And it's going to be too late. So anyway, I will let you all know when or if I hear more. Don't think there's any changing this at this point, unfortunately. But again, elections have consequences. This is what happens. This is the direct result of Donald Trump being elected in 2016. Because had he not been able to seat so many people on the Supreme Court, it's also a direct result of Mitch McConnell and his dirty deeds, what he did in stealing a seat from Obama, not allowing a Obama appointee on the Supreme Court. So this is what happens when Democrats are weak, when they allow the bully to punch them in the nose and take their lunch pail. So I'm beyond frustrated today. Anyway, I will let you all know when I hear more. Again, if I hear more, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, please share, subscribe, please donate if you possibly can. Thank you all so much. Love you all. Take care. Talk with you soon.